cell phones and electronic devices. Completed speaker cards and copies of any documents to be included as part of the file should be submitted to the clerk. Items acted upon today will appear on the September 18th Board of Supervisors agenda unless otherwise stated.
Thank you. Can you please call items 1 through 5 together?
Yes, item number 1 is an ordinance amending the general plan by adding the Central South of Market area plan, making conforming amendments, and making appropriate findings. Item number 2 is an ordinance amending the zoning map of the planning code to create the Central South of Market special use district and make other amendments to the height and bulk district maps and zoning use district maps. Item number 3 is an ordinance amending the business and tax regulations and planning codes to create the Central South of Market Housing Sustainability District to provide a streamlined and ministerial approval process for certain housing projects within the district, and creating an expedited Board of Appeals process for appeals of projects within the district. Item number 4 is an ordinance amending the administrative and planning codes to give effect to the Central South of Market area plan. And item number 5 is an ordinance amending the Administrative Code Special Tax Financing Law to authorize special tax financing.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Supervisor Jane Kim.
Thank you, Chair Tang. This item is going to be heard at the full board tomorrow. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Tomorrow at the full board, we will be hearing the appeal of the CEQA determination for the Central SOMA plan. And because we cannot hear any approvals before them, the Planning Commission is still waiting to hear the amendments that we have re-referred to the Planning Commission, which is set to be heard this Thursday. And so I have asked through the noticing process that we set the continuance to the date of Monday, October 1st. But I know that before we do that, we have to open up for public comment on all of these items.
All right, so at this time, I'm going to open up items 1 through 5 for public comment. Any members of the public who wish to speak? Okay, seeing none, public comment is closed. So as Supervisor Kim stated, I'd like to entertain a motion then to continue items 1 through 5 to the October 1st Land Use Committee meeting. Okay.
I'll make that motion.
We'll do that without objection. All right, item 6, please.
Item number 6 is an ordinance amending the planning code to provide that in the Ocean Avenue Neighborhood Commercial Transit District, a health service use requires a conditional use authorization on the ground story and is permitted above the ground story, and affirming appropriate findings.
Thank you. And we have here Jen Lowe from Supervisor Yee's office, who is a sponsor of this item, as well as Audrey Buckus from the Planning Department.
Wrong. Good afternoon, Chair Tang, Supervisors Kim and Safai. Thank you so much for hearing this item today. Ocean Avenue is one of our merchant corridors in District 7 and has a very active community benefits district organized by the Ocean Avenue Association. The association came to us with this idea because we were getting concerned that medical uses were taking up a lot of the retail spaces on the ground floor along Ocean Avenue. And so we equally shared that concern and came up with a solution with requiring a conditional use so that appropriate and necessary and desirable uses could be maintained on the corridor without taking away from active retail space. So we do have Audrey Buckus here from the SF Planning Department to share a little bit more about this. We'd love to have your support. We understand that when we have further restrictions on corridors that it can actually do the opposite effect, which is increasing vacancies. And to that point, we are working with the Ocean Avenue Association to look into a pilot that was actually started by Chair Tang and Supervisor Safai about streamlining permitting processes for desirable businesses on the ground floor so that we're also attracting the businesses that we want to see to serve our neighborhoods. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to the Planning Department.
Great, thank you. I'm really glad to hear that. Did you, Supervisor Safai, have a question beforehand or after?
I'll just make a comment after she speaks.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. Audrey Buckus with the Planning Department. The Planning Commission heard this item on July 26th and voted unanimously to approve. The background on our recommendations for approval is threefold. The first is that health service uses do not foster an active storefront on the ground floor. to the same extent that many traditional retail and eating establishments attract activity at the street level. In an NCTD that has struggled to maintain an active, pedestrian-oriented commercial corridor, an overconcentration of these types of uses can serve to diminish the vibrancy of the district. The CU authorization process works to assure that a new use is necessary, desirable, and compatible with its surrounding uses. It can be relied upon to assure that any new health service uses are appropriate for the NCTD. The second reason is the conditional use authorization process also keeps a path clear to establishing a new health service use in the Ocean Avenue NCTD. As noted in our case report, when restricting currently permitted uses on the ground floor of retail corridors, caution should be exercised in order to prevent a stifling of the vibrancy and the diversity in uses. However, as Ms. Lowe suggested, they are going to be working on programs to encourage the type of uses at the ground floor that are desirable for this neighborhood. The third reason is that many of the new health service uses that would be subject to the CU authorization process would actually be eligible for our department's Community Business Priority Processing Program, so long as that business does not possess more than 20 other locations and is not seeking to expand currently allowed hours of operation or seeking to merge multiple storefronts. This CB3P program requires the CU authorization application to be heard by the Planning Commission within 90 days of a complete application submittal. So again, that program will assist in ensuring that new proposed limitations on health service uses in this district do not overly restrict these type of businesses from establishing themselves without extensive delays, so long as they are evaluated to be appropriate. That concludes our report, and if you have any questions, I'm available. Thank you.
Actually, can you remind me whether urgent care centers fall under medical services or if it's a different definition?
Let me check on that, and I will get back to you.
Okay, thank you. And Supervisor Safai, you had a question or comment?
No, I just wanted to say the opportunity, I'm glad that Supervisor Yee's office is going to be looking into our 312 reform. I think it gives you the opportunity to update your table in terms of what's permitted, not permitted, and what's required on the second floor in general. And I think I'm glad this conversation started on Ocean Avenue. It gives you the opportunity to mirror that, and then you can expand it across the board to cover many different areas. So I'm glad you're taking this on.
Great. And I join Supervisor Safai's comments and happy to help District 7 with that legislation as well. Okay, so at this point, we'll open up item 6 to public comment. Any members of the public who wish to speak? Seeing none, public comment on item 6 is closed. And I'm happy to chat with Ms. Butkus on the side later just to find the answer to that question. Colleagues, do we have a motion on item 6, please?
Oops. I'll make a motion to send this full board with positive recommendation.
Okay, and we can do that without objection. Okay, we'll do that without objection. Thank you very much. Item 7, please.
Item number 7 is a hearing on the status of a master plan regarding utility undergrounding in San Francisco.
Okay, great. We have the sponsor of this hearing, Supervisor Fewer.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Colleagues, I'm delighted to have this follow-up hearing from Public Works regarding the plan for undergrounding utilities across the city. My neighbors on the west side have been eagerly awaiting this infrastructure and, in fact, have been and will be paying for this for the next 15 years, but have not yet benefited from having underground utilities. Having our wires undergrounded, to me, is about safety in our neighborhoods. Just last week, when a one-alarm fire broke out in the Richmond district, the area had to be closed off due to live wires on the ground. PG&E and the police had to respond to keep the area safe. Today, we have Deborah Lutsky and Bernie C. from Public Works, who will be presenting an update on their work and having reviewed the previous recommendations from Utility Underground Task Force and data from having grounded 4.58 miles in the city. I'm eager to hear about their approach and process for developing a master work plan. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Tang, Supervisors Kim, Safi, and Fewer. My name is Deborah Lutsky, and my team and I are here today on behalf of San Francisco Public Works Bureau Street Use and Mapping to provide you a status update on the Utility Undergrounding Master Plan. Since the last time we met with you, we have progressed on a number of items. Currently, as part of our effort, we are refining undergrounding information and developing a mapping interface. And in doing so, we are working with IT and performing QA/QC on the undergrounding data and incorporating redevelopment areas and streetscape projects, such as the 3rd Street project, to develop an accurate underground map. And we are working with a breadth of utility companies to secure data on outstanding utilities to actually be undergrounded. We have also been working with the consultant team to refine a scope of work to develop a comprehensive and robust undergrounding master plan, which I have brought with me today. As part of the scope of work, we will be assessing San Diego's utilities underground program to guide development of our master plan, performing data collection, identify data gaps, and assessing opportunities to inform recommendations for the master plan. We've been reviewing available funding sources and looking for funding opportunities, developing a staffing plan and budget plans, and develop a prioritization and implementation strategy advised by the items I've just mentioned. As part of our strategy and stakeholders collaboration, we will be including various critical stakeholders to provide input into this master plan. Today, I have Bernie C., our acting permit manager, with me if you have any additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Fewer. A couple of years ago, I had also embarked upon research in this topic. I know it's a very difficult one, and I know that it was mentioned we would study San Diego's model and so forth. For me, what I found throughout the years of our research was really that it was just the cost. It's so cost prohibitive, millions of dollars per block or per mile. I can't remember what the most recent numbers are, but exorbitant. And so I guess my question is, even if we're going to embark upon sort of a planning phase of this work, if we don't have the dollars, how are we going to proceed? And has there been any sort of advocacy around PG&E and I forget if it was the Rule 30 or whatever that was called, money that we mortgaged a long time ago, and when we're even going to be able to see any more of those funds for the city for undergrounding?
Right, and you are correct. There is a tremendous challenge with funding. The Rule 20 funds have been exhausted for about the next 17 years. I think a budget report came out from the mayor's office 2 or 3 years ago identifying that. So in this master planning effort, we're going to look into funding opportunities and seeing what is available, what we've discussed, and what there'd be support to move forward with. So we'll come back to you with more information on what would be available and what would be of interest to proceed with.
And how long do you think this would take to do this planning and to come back to us when you'll have something for us?
So we will keep you updated as we move forward. So next step for us is to execute a contract with the consultant, and then we would be happy to work with your office's appropriate staff and provide you updates along the way.
Okay. Thank you very much. I know that it's challenging. I know that it's really, really, really expensive. I realize that. Chair, I'm requesting that we would continue this item to the call of the chair, since Ms. Lutsky said she could come back and update us.
Okay. All right. So we'll entertain a motion to continue this call of the chair then. Oh, sorry. Public comment. Yes, on item 7. Any members of the public? Okay. Seeing none, public comment is closed. All right. Now, if we can entertain the motion to continue the call of the chair. Okay, we'll do that without objection. Okay. Madam Clerk, are there any other items before us today?
There's no further business.
All right, we are now adjourned.